Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. In this case, it's going to be a gas mask, respirator, face mask 101. I'm going to be answering many of the questions I'm getting in Instagram, which by the way is Fairfile308. I'll leave the link for my Instagram there below. I'll also leave the links for my books, The Modern Survival Manual and Surviving the Economic Collapse, which are great resources if you want to learn more about proper survival and preparedness. But the question I've been getting the most through Instagram especially, and many times in the comments here on YouTube, is related to this topic: face mask, respirators, gas mask. And it's Fernando, which ones are the ones that work for the situation going on right now? Fernando, how can I clean these or reuse these? Which are the ones that I want to get if I'm buying a proper gas mask? How long do they last? These are many of the questions I'm getting, and I'm going to be answering all of those here in this video. First of all, the first thing to understand is the basic of the different specifications that you have. You basically have two specifications depending on if it's the European one or the United States one. And I have these explained in this beautiful little chart that I did. You probably heard about the N95 respirators and face masks. Those are the United States specification of N95, N99, and N100. What does that mean? That means that N95 is going to be filtering 95% of the particles in the air. And N99 is going to be filtering 99%, and N100 is going to be filtering 99.97% of the particles. Now, why is it that everyone is talking about the N95s? Well, all of these are better, but this is the minimum you want, and it's not just an opinion. This is what the Center for Disease Control says, the CDC, the World Health Organization also agrees, and pretty much around the world, everyone agrees that an N95 is the minimum you want to have for the ongoing situation. Then you have the European standard, which is kind of similar, but you have it divided in what's filters for masks or filtering face pieces, which is FFP1, FFP2, FFP3, or P1, P2, P3. These are somewhat similar, but for P1, that's only 80%. That's not good enough. So the P1, FFP1, that's a particle filter that's not good enough for what you want right now. You want to have the P2 or the FFP2, which filters 94%. Difference between 94 and 95, really not that big. So this is the standard that's being used without any problem. That's pretty much what you see being used in Europe, in hospitals, that sort of thing, or around the world as well. Of course, P3, even better, 99% FFP3. And then you have a different color code, which is specific to the European standard, which is yellow for FFP1, blue for FFP2, and red for FFP3. So for example, these are FFP3, right? You see it there, FFP3, and it has that red color. Keep in mind that is not the same for the American standard, where you have many respirators that are N95, filtering 95% of the particles, and they have the elastic band that is yellow. That's not a problem. That's okay. It's only an issue for the FFP1, P1 type of mask, which have that yellow color. That means it's only filtering 80% of the particles. That's not what you want, but not a problem with N95. So if it's N95, just verify it yourself. Another question that I get a lot: hey Fernando, I've read or heard that this is no good, none of this works. Well, the governments in different around the world are to blame for this. At first they were trying to get people not to buy this kind of equipment because they wanted to save it for themselves, for their medical workers. So they made these announcements that these things do not work. Many folks came up with the conclusion that the virus is a lot smaller than the filtering capacity of these face masks, respirators, and filters, and thus it does not work. Well, that is not correct. There's a reason why, even though they don't want you to buy it, they want it for their PPE, personal protection equipment, used in hospitals for doctors and nurses. And the answer is yes, it does work. Those N95s or better do work. How is it that they work if the virus is smaller? Very simple. You're not filtering the virus, you're filtering the little droplets of saliva or spit that the virus is traveling in. If you're traveling in a car, I don't have to filter you, I have to filter the car. Unless you can get out of the car, which the virus cannot get out of that little droplet of water because it dies instantly without humidity. Not the case here. You filter the little droplet, and you filter the virus. That is the logic to it. That's why N95s works, or even better, masks work as well. Having said all that, nothing is 100% guaranteed. Different studies show a different type of efficiency of 85-90% success in avoiding catching the disease through the respiratory system. That is when everything is done properly with the proper protocols and the right equipment. Still, 85-90%, give or take, 80% even, I'll take that all day long if I'm trying to avoid catching a deadly disease. So that's important. Another thing that's very important, and this has been said by all sorts of experts, from the head of the CDC back in the day, some of the people I've had the privilege talking with who are true experts in pandemics, everyone agrees. Something is always better than nothing. This means that even if you're covering your face with a piece of cloth, it's going to be better. If you cover your face with several layers of cloth, even better. Improvising something, sure, something is better than nothing. Now, what I mean by this, if you don't have one of these masks, these are the ones I like best, and I see some people wearing these, some people that seem to be a little bit more knowledgeable. You have some N95s that are shaped like a little cup. I find these better for a couple of reasons. First of all, they fold nicely, which is why I've always had these in my kits since I started putting kits together from many years back. These are the ones that I keep in my kits. They just fold nicer, better. Besides that, well, these are of course FFP3, which are better than your N95, but besides that, these like clamshell shape, these adapt a lot better to different face shapes. At least that's what I noticed, and you have a much better seal wearing these than the ones that are pre-shaped. So if you can get these are better than the ones, at least that's my take on it and what I see people in the know doing regarding face masks and respirators. You also notice that it has a valve, and this means that when you're exhaling, air comes out of there unfiltered, just comes straight away. When you're inhaling, it just goes through the filtering material. That's exactly what you want if you're healthy. For someone that is sick, this is not going to be helping in avoiding spreading the disease. If you're sick, you want one without a valve, which is what you usually have in those surgical masks without the valve. Valve is for a better mask for people that are healthy. It means it's not going to be getting wet, moist with your saliva and your respiration, which is good because you want this to be as dry as possible, but only for healthy people. You have none of this, you have to improvise. Okay, no problem. You have coffee filters. I did a video on how to do these. This is a much better idea than having nothing at all. Don't even doubt that for a second. Even though it's not a proper N95, it is a lot, and I mean a lot better than having nothing at all. Having a coffee filter, check on some of the previous videos. I showed in a video how to do this. You fold it a couple of times, put a little paper clip so as to have a nose piece there, so as to adapt better. And you can even double these. You know, do it with two of these together. That is going to be light years better than having nothing at all. Even something like this, and this would be a little bit worse because this is actual filtering material. This is just a paper napkin, one of those kitchen paper things. Just fold it like that. I'll do a video later on how to do that, but you fold it like that, then you fold it with a rubber band on each side, you open it, and it is something much better than nothing. What is the ideal thing to have? Well, a proper gas mask, guys. That is what I'm advising people. I'll leave the links below for some of this stuff that may still be available in Amazon, but if you can, you want to have a real actual gas mask, complete face gas mask. That is ideal. I like military grade ones because they are made to higher standards, of course, but any gas mask at this stage is better than none. This is an S10 for those of you wondering, and uses a 40mm filter. One of the questions I get a lot is, how long does this stuff last? You know, how long does this last? Well, these are disposable. You're supposed to throw these away after using it. Reality, as we all know today, a lot more drastic, quite different. And what's happening right now is they're trying to sterilize these things and keep using it for an entire week or so or more. There's people in some of the worst affected countries that are using it for 15 days. Can you kind of sanitize them? Yes. You have to be very careful After wearing these, where there may be infected people, very carefully you take it off, you place it in direct sunlight, very strong light, not just a little bit of sunlight, just as strong as possible. A nice sunny day, that's the day you go out, that's the day when you come back home. You put this in the sun for several hours. The UV rays will sterilize the surface of the mask where it's likely to be more, the spread. Then you have masks like these or similar ones. What is it the standard that 3M says for particle filters? 3M, not me, 3M says that as long as you're able to breathe properly, the filter still works. The structure still works. That means you're only going to be replacing these when you find it harder to breathe. That is how you go about in terms of particle filtering. Now, if this was nuclear fallout or a biological agent or something that's not, the topic of this video, these you will be changing within an hour if you're mustard gas, something deadly like that. But for particle filter, as long as it still works and you inhale properly, you can keep on using it. That's what 3M says. I take it that for other particle filters, same thing. Keep in mind though that some of these military masks, some of them are very old. This is not the one. This is an S10 that is pretty recent still. But some of those very old surplus masks, careful about that. Make sure that the valves are working properly and that the filter is not toxic or deteriorated after half a century. Not everything is the same. Another question finally that I get a lot, which is the one that I wear a GSR General Service respirator made by Scott. This is the latest generation of face masks, of respirators, similar to an M50, give or take. But these are very good. These are very expensive as well, but these are the ones that it's very comfortable for breathing, and it's the one that I like. Guys, I'm going to be doing a live stream today, 4 p.m. Central Time. See you folks there. Remember the links for any stuff that you may be needing. See you 4 p.m. Central Time in this channel. Guys, have a great day.